gonna reach into the neighborhoods. We're gonna reach into the barrio. We're gonna reach everywhere.
The story's out there.
Islam, one of the fastest growing religions in America, 1,209 mosques.
No 30-second sound bites.
Like all other faith traditions, America means home to 7 million Muslims.
Michigan, Chicago, Washington, D.C. Uncut, the whole thing.
Detroit,
Iowa,
Virginia,
Montana, San Francisco, Tennessee, New York City, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston.
Experience the independent voices of American Muslims. Muslims America. In Chester County, Pennsylvania, some 40 miles west of Philadelphia, lays a shrine of probably one of the first Sufi saints in America, Baba Muhyiddin. M.R. Baba Muhyiddin came to America in 1971, and in just 15 short years, brought a subtle tranquility to this region. He passed away in 1986, but the impact that his legacy has left still resonates in the hearts and minds of thousands of people across the United States.
Well, Islam is the fastest growing religion in America.
When we look at the Muslims of South Asia or the Middle East, and then we look at the Muslims in America, there, again, critics have been saying there's a vast difference. What can we attribute that difference to?
This is America. This is America. I mean, in America, we communicate, we interact. It's part of this culture.
Do you think that there's a struggle right now going on for the Muslims to be recognized just like any other normal human being? You think they're struggling right now, or you think they're being pacifist?
I do think the big struggle now is twofold. Most of it's internal, because it's forcing the Muslims in America to really look within and find their relationship with God. A lot of people were born Muslims, and they haven't had to consciously become true Muslims. It's just the way they grew up. And this is forcing them to really read the Quran, really study who they are, and gain their own wisdom for the first time. So they're almost converting to their own religion, converting to real Islam. And secondly, I think, so there's very dynamic inside, but on the outside, the culture after 9/11 is so intense that Muslims as a whole in America are kind of hunkered down, being quiet, and living very quietly and very humbly and whatever. So it does look like it's very passive on the outside, but I think internally there's a tremendous dynamic religious unfolding among the Muslims in America right now.
And that's all peaceful?
And it's all peaceful. And it's really the true message of the Quran and the zikr, la ilaha illallah. There is no God except God. There's only Allah. And the Quran has a resonance, and if you get that resonance in your heart and find that resonance from the Quran, it becomes a living Quran in your heart that will explain the true ilm, the true divine knowledge, and guide your every act and your every path. And it'll be compassion, tolerance, all of the asma'ul, all the qualities of God.
Are there any similarities between American values and the true tenets of Islam?
And would you agree that a lot of the things that you just talked about, the values of America, aren't they pretty similar to what Islam is all about?
It's identical. It is what Islam is all about. It is what Islam is all about. It has to be that kind of toleration. It has to be that kind of clarity and that kind of understanding about what was God's intention. God created us. We're the creation. God's the creator. So the creator advises and says, look, this is what I want you to do. This is what you have to do. So if we step outside of those bounds, then the fault is on us and the responsibility is ours to bear. But for those who can stay within those boundaries, promises of rewards, not only in this life, but in the next, are pretty substantial. And so people want to stay within those boundaries, regardless of what it is, what other influences that they have.
The question is that if one member of a faith community does wrong, then should the entire religion be vilified just because of that?
So if we hear some bad things coming from some Muslims, that does not mean Islam is advocating for that. Because, I mean, I'm sure after watching this interview, a lot of people would criticize you for saying that, because they'll say that what about all the atrocities that Muslims have done across the world? Atrocities against women,
sure,
atrocities
and they're absolutely
against people of other faiths.
That's right, and I agree with them. I agree with them. I don't think that there should be any tolerance for that, because that is not Islam. There's all these cultural add-ons. There's all these cultural add-ons that allow people to behave in ways that are reprehensible, that are so distorted and so misguided, and they operate under the cloak of Islam, and they say, well, we're being good Muslims, and that's why we can do these horrific things. It's a lie. It's a lie, and the truth has to be presented, that Islam does not tolerate that. Islam does not allow for that. You're not allowed to have prejudices. You know, you can't have differences.
We can disagree.
You can disagree with somebody, but you can't push them aside and say, okay, you know, you're worthless, and because you're worthless, I can treat you any way I want. You're just an object. It's not true. You know, Allah created them. Allah created us. If we've been guided on this path, then we better become examples of what this path is supposed to be, to attract other people to that path. Otherwise, not only shame on us, but the responsibility that we will have when we go and stand before Allah is going to be weighty. It's going to be weighty, and it could be painful.
In the end, when you look at the differences in all the different groups, the core fundamental beliefs are all the same.